Welcome back, Wagoneers, to another exciting episode of the Wasted Wagons podcast. With us, we have Todd, Russ, Pat, and myself. I'm Travis. Another small crew. It's almost, I'm almost forgetting how to say the intro to the show since it's been fewer and further between since we've been recording lately. But we are coming off of the fresh day of the first Saints preseason game. So I think that is an excellent place to start this episode to kind of give our thoughts on what we witnessed today. So anybody would like to start with that?
I mean, I overall was really impressed with Tyler Shough. I'm going on Facebook, and of course I'm reading all the negative comments that are coming out about it, saying, "Oh, we could have had Shedeur Sanders." But I mean, he made that one interception, which was pick six. It was a pretty costly interception, but then he comes right back, throws a bomb to Mason Tipton, touchdown. He had a lot of completions. He threw for 170 yards. I think overall he looked pretty good in this first preseason game.
Yeah, the one thing I know Pat was saying that he watched a little bit of the first quarter and didn't really get to catch a whole lot else of the game due to playing kickball. But the one thing that my takeaway from Spencer Rattler was the idea of there was a lot of hot talk of him in camp and how productive he's been in camp. And when he came out in the first quarter, to me, and I get granted it's preseason, there's a lot of backups in, so that's very reminiscent of the way our season ended last year with a lot of backups in. But he still had that same look of indecisiveness. Like he was holding on to the ball too long. He made a couple of plays with his legs today, which was reassuring because he didn't do a whole lot of that last year, which I thought he would have. But yeah, the big thing with him was still that indecisiveness. So then when they transition over to Shough late second quarter and then into the third quarter, like he's coming out and he's not holding on to the ball. Like he's ripping it out. He's finding his receiver and getting rid of it really quickly. And I think that, to me, just kind of showed the confidence and composure was just on a different level from where Rattler was. That's just one of my big takeaways, and outside of the 70-yard bomb for the touchdown, of course, that was the big highlight.
Yeah, looking at Rattler and kind of just taking a step back in big picture, I think in preseason, and especially with Shedeur Sanders and a bunch of the other rookies that are playing, you don't expect them to light the world on fire week one or even maybe through the entire preseason. You mainly want to see a command of the offense, some competence, knowing what reads to make, how to set your protection, things like that. Just do the basics and the fundamentals. Don't put yourself in really bad spots. Don't take sacks unnecessarily and things like that. So, or if you do have a bad play or an interception, how you bounce back from it. So I think Rattler was okay from what I saw. Like you said, there was some indecisiveness, but he did show some athleticism and moving around and getting out of the pocket when he needed to buy time or make some room or to run. So I think he was okay and fine for what I saw. I don't think the ceiling for him is super high, but the floor hopefully is elevated a little bit to where he's not going to cost you a ton by making a lot of really bad mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, he certainly wasn't awful.
Well, I mean, one thing that we said on a previous podcast was I think we all kind of agreed that Rattler was going to go into the season as a starter on a really short leash. Let's just say over the next two games, Shough just completely outplays him. Does Shough go in as the starter now, or is Rattler still the starter on a short leash?
No, I mean, if I had to put these two guys up on right now and say based upon preseason game one, who has the edge? I think the edge goes to Shough based upon how well he played outside of that pick six. If it continues in that direction over the next two games, then I think Kellen Moore is going to go with Shough as the starter. I think he's going to decide to go against Rattler there and say, you know what, Shough's outplayed him for the past 3 games. I think he's going to be the guy to start week one.
And I'm looking at the schedule, so it looks like our bye week is mid-late November. It's probably around week 11 or 12, something like that. So ideally, if you were going to, in a more opportunistic situation, the bye week would be around week 7 or 8. That way you'd have enough weeks of Rattler playing as a starter to make a really good assessment of him if he's going to stay the starter, and then you bring Shough in over the bye week and let him finish out. Maybe they kind of still had that option in the back of their heads that, hey, even though it's so late in the season, we know it. We've seen enough of Rattler to know that it's either time to make the change or let Rattler stay. Bring Shuck in, let him finish the last 4 or 5 games of the season, and then work on building off of that for next season. I think Rattler will be the starter just because he has more NFL experience. Obviously, I don't know how short the leash is going to be, but if he starts having a bunch of like interceptions and things like that, and turnovers, fumbles, whatever the case may be, I think they would probably not even wait to the bye week to pull him. And if Shuck shows any kind of competence, like you said he did today, and making some decent plays, then I'd expect Rattler to probably be out the minute he starts really turning the ball over and being reckless or things like that.
You know, one of the things that was most assuring about Shuck's play was that by the time he came in, all the starters on the offensive line were out. So he was playing with a backup offensive line, and he was still able to make those quick decisions, those decisive throws. He definitely looked composed a lot of the time. So my thing is, like, if he could look that composed playing with backups, just imagine how well he could do with the first string offensive line. I think that would be, that's going to be huge, and and him basically winning over that starting job.
And kind of just look at the schedule real quick, looking at like the home games and stuff like that. We have the first 2 games are at home. Then we go on the road for 2, and then back at home like October 5th against the Giants. That's not a strong opponent, but although they do have a really good defense, like they have an excellent D line, so that might be a game. If it's bad early, maybe you let him take over week 5, 6, or whatever. When you have the home game, you don't really want to play on the road so much for his first start. So I think if something goes bad with Rattler and they do make a decision, I would say probably they would do it in the first week of October, where they have a home game against the Giants and then a home game against the Patriots. 2 teams that are probably not going to be very good, so you have a little bit better chance to get him in and to get his feet wet against a maybe not as formidable opponent. Maybe even could be a winnable game, depending upon what he shows you.
One of my other big takeaways is, like, when you look at the final score, it definitely didn't look good in the Saints' favor. Like, the final score was something like 26-10, something.
They had 13, I think.
Okay, 26-13, somewhere in that ballpark. But to me, most of the defensive starters sat out. But those first couple of drives, when they still had a mixture of starters and a mixture of second strings on the defense, they were shutting Taylor Heineke down. So I mean, like, that was very reassuring for me, just to kind of see the defense play that well with a mixture of starters and second stringers in there, to say, like, all right, well, now if we have some of our starters in, imagine what the defense could do when they have all of their starters in. So that was reassuring for me to see, and granted, it wasn't Herbert, so I mean, I know, maybe I'm overreacting because it wasn't their starter quarterback in there. But at the same point, that was a big takeaway for me. I thought the defense looked really well on those first couple of drives, and that's really the ones that we should be focusing on, because later in the game, a lot of those guys aren't going to make the team, or they'll just be kind of backups all year.
What did you think of the O-line and how they?
They didn't play great. Like, I think they could have, especially since when we started the game and Rattler was in there, and
McCoy was out, and then his backup Will Clapp ended up getting hurt. So they were basically a third string center.
So they were down to a third string center. But again, I don't think they allowed Rattler the time maybe they could have, and I do feel like this offensive line has potential to be one of the really strong points on our team. So I think they slightly underachieved today, but I'm still hopeful for that part of the team.
I think the O-line is my biggest concern or worry, more so from a health standpoint than so much the play. But there are some players on the O-line that you kind of want to see improve and take a step forward, be it they're veterans and they should be playing better, or they were injured and they're coming back and hopefully they're kind of finding their groove again, or they're a first or second year player and you want to see them kind of take a jump. And then on the defensive side, I think it's also a health thing. Having not seen the entire game in only a quarter, I thought Kellen Moore as a play caller or on the offensive side wasn't bad. I think he tried to put them in some pretty good spots and situations, and I didn't maybe I didn't love going for on fourth down.
It was
that early in the game, and then with that play call,
it was a bad play call.
Yeah.
So that was. I agree. I think most of his play calls were really good. But if I looked at one and said that was kind of a bonehead play, it was that 4th and 1 on the goal line where it's just kind of like, they have no hole open. There was no trickery on it. I mean, it was just a very predictable play call, and it was shown by the defense stuffing it pretty instantly.
I did like the call. I think on the same drive of the jet sweep that we tried to run, even though it didn't work out. I'd like the idea of that to show a new look, because it felt like we didn't have a ton of explosiveness. Obviously, Kamara didn't play, and Kendra Miller has speed, but getting the ball in a much faster wide receiver who's already got a full steam ahead running. I like the idea of that play, and it just. I get it. It's preseason. You have a lot more room to make an aggressive play call like that. That's something that, the Lions make their bread and butter on going for it on 4th and down, but they have the horses and the talent to do that. Again, it's preseason, so starters aren't in. But didn't love the call, but I understand why he did it in that moment, being first preseason game. You want to see what you can get away with and maybe catch them off guard. But they got good penetration, kind of sniffed out, and I felt kind of like. What I saw from the first quarter was a lot of their defensive line and players got penetration on us and kind of a couple tackles for loss or broken up plays or busted runs that we didn't convert or make anything out of.
Yeah, when it comes to play calling, I think the thing that I was most excited about was just the change, because we had Pete Carmichael for so long running the same offense for so long, and I think defenses figured that out. And then we switched over, and we had the same conversation last year. And we're like, well, is Clint Kubiak going to come in and change things up and really be the spark that makes our offense better? And he really wasn't. So I think it does give you, some hope when you have, an offensive-minded head coach, like Kellen Moore, and you have Doug Nussmeier as the offensive coordinator. I really think that's going to give us a lot to look forward to with the offense. Now, outside, before we move on from Saints, we really spent a lot of time so far talking about the QB1 battle. But were there any guys in this game that really stood out to you that you said, man, this guy really deserves the shot to make the team?
Well, I'm as you know, I was always a big Lance Moore and Willie Snead fan. I get vibes from Mason Tipton of those two guys. I think he's going to be I think he could be a really good slot receiver. And past 2 years they've talked about how great he's looked in camp. And, he does come up with a big touchdown today. I wouldn't mind seeing him make the team, not only make the team, but kind of move up the wide receiver ranks.
Yeah. He's had himself a really strong camp. And then, he didn't get a whole lot of targets today, but the one target he got, he made count. He was the guy responsible for the 70-yard touchdown. So I think he pretty much solidified himself on that team. And I could definitely see him being like that little sneaky sleeper that comes in and ends up being like our 4th receiver, especially if we don't make a move to pick up like an Amari Cooper or something like that as the season gets closer. That Tipton could be that guy right behind Brandon Cooks and Shaheed and Olave. So yeah, I think he definitely has solidified his spot on that roster. And if for whatever reason he doesn't make the team, I would be pretty disappointed after what he's been showing.
And Travis, you kind of talked about this off air before we started, about the wide receiver room. And we have a lot of interesting options. Obviously, Olave is our number 1. I guess you would slot Shaheed as the 2.
Yep.
Cooks is a 3. And then you have, Tipton and Wilson Jr. as the 4-5 option. I would feel pretty good about those 5 as our rotation. I don't know who else we have on our depth chart for it.
Well, another guy is his name Chris Austin?
Kevin Austin.
Kevin Austin. He is big. So he's before
he's kind of built like Holston.
When we signed Donovan People-Jones, that was the big thing with him, was he's going to be our big body receiver. That guy was invisible. He's been invisible in camp. He had 1 kick return today. No catches. So this guy, Kevin Austin, seems like he could be our big body receiver. I mean, he probably had the most targets of any receiver today, and he made most of them count. He had a lot of catches. So he's another guy who I could easily see being in that 5-man rotation. And you can't forget about Bub Means. Bub Means, he had a drop today, so that didn't really help his cause. So they've got None of them outside of Olave and Shaheed, and then Cooks is getting kind of old. None of them are jumping at you with names that are sexy or anything like that. But at the same time, I think we got a couple of guys down there that deserve to make the team, and it's gonna be interesting to see who in that receiver room who makes it and who doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't know the stats on Tipton in terms of like his size and whatnot, but we don't have a big receiver group. Like they're all on the shorter side.
Tipton's not very big either. He's kind of looks like that slot guy.
Yeah, we've got a lot of like 6'1" at 6'2", maybe 180, 90 pound guys. We don't have a big body guy like you can like I said, you can go up like a Debo Samuel that can go up and win you a ball, or a DK Metcalf. We don't have a big body receiver like that, and I don't know how that's going to affect play calling and just the general play in general of the team. But like Kellen Moore in Philadelphia, he had A.J. Brown, a big receiver, and he used him in a multitude of ways. And then they had obviously Devonta Smith as a speed guy and a good receiver as well. And their other two receivers were good. So I'm just curious to see how that's going to play out with the receivers being on the smaller side, and if a physical defense and a physical DB team kind of neutralizes some of us because we don't have big bodies for like possession balls or 50-50 balls and things like that.
And that's why I really do think Kevin Austin probably gets kept based upon his size and the catches he made today. And I really think to go along with what you're saying about Moore having A.J. Brown, having that big guy that you could always throw to, I think that's what he wants Juwan Johnson to be. We've probably spoken about Juwan Johnson on this podcast. Like I just think he's an all-around underachiever, and I don't know if he's ever going to be what people want him to be.
We have about 10 tight ends on the damn roster.
Yeah,
none of them are good.
They have about 7 or 8 tight ends in camp right now, which is crazy. Like every time a ball was thrown, you see a different, big white tight end, and you're like, who is this guy? You look at it, like, I didn't see that number on the field yet, and then you go check it out. It's like, oh, it's another tight end. That one tight end played really well today was a guy named Welsh. He recovered one of the muff punts, and then he actually had a couple of big catches late in the game too. So he might be a sneaky, number three tight end. So yeah, they had a couple of them. So if we're talking about crowded rooms, let's talk about the Saints running back room, because that is also very crowded right now, because you obviously have Kamara at the top, Kendre Miller. Those are kind of like our two sure things. And then rookie Devin Neal is hurt right now, so he didn't play with a hamstring pull. From watching Sean Fazan's analysis on training camp, he feels like Neal is not going to make the active roster. He's going to probably get practice squatted just because of his injury right now. But then you have Cam Akers, you have CEH, you have Avilas Jones. They had another guy come in named Yarns that was in there. So very crowded room. But my big takeaway from what I saw today was that Kendre Miller looks like he could be, if he stays healthy, could be a guy that's splitting carries with Kamara, at some point this year.
That's the big question mark, though, because every time Kendre Miller has touched the field in the past 2 seasons, he's done well. He's hurt all the time.
His carries today reminded me a lot of Deuce. Like it was like every time he touched the ball, he's pulling people forward. Like he's no tackles for loss. Like he's gaining, even if he stopped at the line of scrimmage, he's still gaining a yard or two. He's playing hard, and he's at a really good camp, and I really do see, if he stays healthy, him being that nice, give Kamara a change of pace so that we don't get him hurt, Yeah,
and he's got enough. He's not a complete burner, but he's got enough speed to make a difference and take one to the house if he gets a good opportunity to. He seems like he runs pretty hard. He's not a bruiser, but he's got a good size on him, and he's willing to initiate some contact. So he's for sure the two, and he probably, for the sake of Kamara, he needs to get a decent amount of split to help Kamara out. I'd like to see him maybe catch the ball a bit more out the backfield and be used as a weapon, kind of like Kellen Moore used Saquon. Obviously, they're not the same kind of caliber player, but just give him some Gainwell, some opportunities to catch the ball at the backfield, run in some space if we have blocking, and see what he can do.
Yeah. So since we talked about burner, a guy the Saints do have, and I really feel like this guy is going to be another guy that's going to be hard for the Saints to cut, is Avilas Jones. Like this guy is on kick returns, and like when he gets the ball, like you could see when he sees the hole, his speed hits another level. Like he's basically very, very fast, very quick. I could see him being like a Taysom Hill Part 2, like almost like a gadget type player where they might break him out as a wide receiver, use him as a running back, obviously using on kick returns. And to me, he looked better today than Cam Akers and CEH. So I think he could very well be the third back on this team. Talking about those two veterans, I thought CEH looked slightly better than Cam Akers. I didn't see Cam Akers do shit today. Like he looked like a broken down truck. Like I didn't even see him gain yards.
I mean, one thing that I noticed about CEH though is the guy just has like absolutely no burst. Like he just looks done.
Yeah, like if either I don't know how many running backs we plan on keeping, but if we parted ways with either one of those guys, I don't think I'd be losing sleep over it. I mean, I like the fact that CEH is local guy. He's got the LSU ties. Seems like a good guy off the field, but if we did cut him, I wouldn't be losing any sleep because he doesn't look like he's really earning anything.
I mean, I remember watching Akers at the Rams before they got who's that running back at the Rams now?
They just locked him up.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean he's a good running back.
Yeah,
and I can't think of his name.
I feel like Akers he's been injured a decent amount, and I don't know if he came off an injury from last season, but I feel like they probably put a little more mileage on his body than needed to at the time. He if he shows any kind of
Kyron Williams.
Jesus Christ, we should know that.
But yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you keep Akers because you have another veteran that knows the offense, and maybe he could come in as like a third down back for blocking and protection, things like that. He wasn't the greatest catcher of the ball out the field, so he may not be the best for that, but it could be another option. I'll be go either way if he makes the team or not, but I don't know much about C. So Akers maybe would be like just a veteran to keep around to help with maybe Kendre's development, or if Kendre gets hurt, this guy at least knows offense and knows blocking and protection, things like that. So he could be somewhat valuable if they can hold on to him. Maybe you practice squad one of the newer running backs or something like that.
Yeah. I do think it's going to be hard for them to flat out cut Devin Neal. So he'll probably be practice squatted. I mean he's a big guy that runs hard too. So anyway, but yeah, that was my big takeaways. Oh, and one guy on defense that while Todd looks at a picture of Danny Stutzman.
I go ahead, but I think he did really well today too.
Are we sure he's just looking at Stutzman and not something else?
Yeah, I was talking about Stutzman. But
okay. I didn't even see him in the photo.
Not the bombshell next to him.
Yeah, but Stutzman played well. He played a lot of plays today. Most of the first half, even some into the second half. He looked really good as a fourth round pick. But one guy who I think just based upon today, I've talked about him before we started recording, was Isaiah Stillbird. Looked really good as far as this guy linebacker number 44 didn't really know his name before today. But, he was in there blitzing, making sacks, making stops, causing pressures to make errant throws for the quarterbacks. He looked really good. So I would like to see him as some, at least a special team or some depth at linebacker.
And he was hitting hard, too. This dude was hitting like a heat-seeking missile. I like to see that. It's like, do you remember the Saints safety, Jay Bellamy?
Yeah.
He couldn't really cover very well, but he could headhunt. He could headhunt with the best of them.
And I've talked about this guy off air before too. I like the rookie out of Virginia at safety. He really didn't seem to come into the game until pretty late, and maybe that's just because he's a rookie. But Jonas Sanker, made a couple of really good plays at the end of the game. I think he's going to be a nice stud to watch at safety, as the season progresses. And because we end up losing Matthew, I think he might end up sneaking around the field a good bit during the season just because of where he was drafted and how well he's looked in camp.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be hard for him to leapfrog Howden.
Yeah, but we did get Blackman, so it's going to be Reed and Blackman are going to be our starters. So.
Russell, you've been ridiculously quiet this opening segment.
Surprise, surprise.
Do you have anything you want to add?
I did not watch football at all today, so I literally just don't have anything to comment. Go Saints.
Yeah. Well, that's the enthusiasm.
While we're on the topic of football and the Saints, the best day of the year is coming up in 2 weeks, and that is the Ultimate League Fantasy Football Draft. We're all part of this league, and there's many reasons that make it the most enjoyable day of the year. But I think as fun as the draft itself is, and as fun as participating in the season is, draft day to me is always the most fun. It's just an idea of, obviously we see each other a pretty good bit, but then, we have friends from high school that we haven't seen in years, or not in years, but over the year we haven't really seen them much. So it's always to me just like a day to get together with the boys and then pretty much make it an all-day affair. From 12 noon to 10 p.m. at night, we're hanging out, we're drinking beer, swimming, just almost
barbecuing.
Barbecuing. Well, except this year we're gonna do glizzies. So we're gonna do a glizzy bar. So no barbecue. We're just gonna.
That's 100% certain that we're doing that.
Do you have a smoker over by your house?
My Acorn, which is a knockoff green egg, serves as a smoker too. Yeah.
It's operational.
Yep.
I might bring over something to smoke.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. But I'm excited about that. Now, Russell, you had some news that you broke to us yesterday about the draft. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm bringing in a ringer. I'm putting all my chips on this guy. Y'all have met him before. His name's Brett. Went to high school with him. But talked to Mike about it, and we're going to bring him onto the team, and we're going to let him make a lot of decisions.
Is Mike planning on bringing Jason with him too, or are y'all going to be like a 4-man team, or is Jason that part of the team?
Oh, hey, Mike. Who's Jason?
So before you came into the league, and before Mike forfeited his team for that 1 year, his teammate was a guy named Jason, who's actually Mike's best friend. Jason usually doesn't contribute very much football wise. He likes to show up to the draft and drink, but he's not much.
I know the feeling.
He's not much of a football enthusiast.
I like Russell.
Jason was definitely a vibes guy.
Okay.
He's the kind of guy who, you start the draft and you see one beer bottle, and then 3 hours later at the end of the draft, he's got a whole line of them down the table.
Pyramid of them.
And he probably contributed very little to the draft strategy. But
that sounds like a great addition to the team, honestly.
And one interesting thing about Jason, since you haven't met him, he's a mechanic, and he's got like a death grip. So when you shake his hand initially to meet him, he'll break your fucking fingers.
All right.
Almost to the point where I don't know, was it Patrick? It was said that it gets kind of annoying after a while because it's almost like, are you trying to fucking break our hands?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Noted. I'm gonna
after
fist
the
bump
first
him.
couple of times, just fist bump will suffice.
Yeah.
I don't need you to prove how strong you are with a fucking handshake, bud.
Well, he's welcome to join the team. We'll be the first forfer, I believe, if that happens.
Just commissioner by committee.
Yeah.
All right, so and unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be getting a keg this year. So everybody, just bring stock up. I'll probably get a 12-pack of Amstel for myself and
Rip Ilios, even though it's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But Pat said he doesn't think that Brady's is going to sell the kegs, which is unfortunate. But anyway, so before we move on from fantasy in general, we pulled up kind of the rankings from last night. This was the first time I had actually ever looked at the rankings for this year, and I'm kind of surprised by a few of them, as far as where they have, because Todd and I are drafting 10. Russell said he's not sure if he's drafting first or second.
I'm pretty sure I'm second.
All right, so the consensus overall number one on ESPN is actually Jamar Chase for the Cincinnati Bengals. So and I think we have a couple of, and look, Jamar is a former student of mine, so I'll always take claim on that, and
When's he joining the pod?
Jamar, if you're listening, pod, we would welcome you
pull
we would welcome you very graciously. We can't pay you, but we would love for you to join our pod and spend an hour and a half with us.
That's not the only thing he can't pull, huh, Todd?
With the lawnmower?
Yeah. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, that can be part of the show too. All right, but what do you guys think about that? As far as Jamar Chase being the overall consensus number one this year for fantasy, I know Russell had the first pick in last year's draft, and he went with the consensus number one, Christian McCaffrey, and he ended up regretting it.
Mistake.
So, well, this year at least, Russell can blame Brett and not the rest of the room for when he drafts the wrong pick. They can't blame all of us this year.
So I don't know much about Brett's football prowess, but I'd assume he knows enough that Russell's going to bring him in and he's going to help them do well. But, I mean, that was just a tough break. McCaffrey, he always kind of had to worry about his injury history. We were talking last night, and I love Chase as the number one overall pick. I think his production will be elite. I mean, he won the Triple Crown of receiving last year. I don't see a reason why he would take a step back barring injury, because now that he's paid and Higgins is paid and Burrow is going to start to throw the ball because their defense is probably not going to be great or good enough. But I still see that offense having to throw the ball a lot. So the other option, I think, are what? Bijan's 2, and then you have Jefferson and Saquon. I mean, I don't think you could go wrong with any of the 4 of them in the top as like 1, 2, 3, or 4, wherever you pick in that group. I just think Chase is going to have another phenomenal year because that's all he's done is have phenomenal years.
Yeah.
See, I'm looking at this list, and it's like almost like I want to break the mold and not follow this. Like, so look, we go down the list. You guys are drafting at pick 8, correct? Mm-hmm. So they have Puka Nacua at pick 8.
I would be okay with that. I know the Stafford back injury is a concern for some because he hasn't practiced at all. But I think with Nacua, even though Kupp wasn't his normal self or at the high production level last year, Nacua got all the attention and he still performed incredibly well. So I don't see that changing as well. If he falls to 8, I'd be okay with it. Sean didn't seem as in love with the idea of Nacua at 8, and I get it, but I would not be upset with that. I don't think there's many options, 1 or 2 spots ahead or behind him that gives me much more excitement for a pick where at 8 on that first go round.
So then we go further than that. I don't see again. I look at that, and then I look at the next pick is Malik Neighbors at 9, and I know he's going to get volume. You know, he's because he's on the Giants and he's really all they got in the passing game.
Yeah, you know they're going to be digging themselves out of holes.
So that's an interesting one because I really was high on Neighbors this year, and I was like, I kind of want him on my team, but I wouldn't take him as my first round pick. And then you go down where Todd and I are drafting at 10. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's pretty tempting. Todd's an Amon-Ra fan. And then it's followed up by Ashton Genty, which is that's a lot of faith to put in a rookie running back behind a really shitty offensive line. Devon A-Chain at 12, I like that.
I think the Genty thing is more, Pete Carroll is going to want to run the ball, and they have an upgrade at quarterback, so they should be able to keep defenses a little more honest and not trying to load the box on them to stop the run. I don't know how you would think, being as talented as he is, that he would translate well to the next level, even though he didn't play against the strongest competition in college, being at Boise State. But physically, he looks like he has all the attributes to be a top 10-ish pick. So I maybe wouldn't jump on the idea of him if he were around at 8, but coming back around, I could see him working. It's just a matter of how well he adjusts to picking up the speed of the game and playing against defenses.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, I know I'm looking at PPR rankings, and we do half-point PPR, and it's very wide receiver heavy, it looks like, this year as far as the rankings. So, you get, of course, Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson all at the top. Christian McCaffrey is there at 7. But then there's a pretty big drop-off. You have Genty and A-Chain, and then it goes all the way down to Jonathan Taylor, who's ranked 17. So you're talking about that's almost into the second round that they actually have another running back.
Yeah, this year definitely feels like, I mean, it's been like, from my perspective, the wide receiver depth has always been really good, and it's gotten better and better. But once you get past the top 4 or 5 running backs, you either have question marks or they're just not nearly as good as where some of the wide receivers are, and there's so much more depth. So you could, if you want to play that role of taking a running back earlier, because there's so few of them that are really, really good on the top end of the chart, you could fill in some really good, like Mike Williams is wherever he is on the board, he's still a really good option, or Godwin. So I think there's a lot more wide receivers this year in depth going further down.
You're talking about Mike Evans?
Mike Evans, sorry, yeah.
I said Mike Williams actually retired.
Yeah, he's also terrible. But I think the wide receivers, you could, if you don't get one of the first 4 or 5 elite, you could probably hold off a little bit to get one. I think for me, it's always a question of when do you start with the quarterbacks, like the elite quarterbacks, and how does that play into decision? I always find that fascinating, is where the quarterback's going to go, and is there going to be a run on them? Because once you get out of the first 4 or 5, you're in a bit of a talent drop off, but even the mid-level quarterbacks still produce.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter, since we're talking about this, like when you go down the rankings, the top quarterback is Josh Allen, and he's ranked at 28. So they're saying he's a third round, basically late third round pick. And then Brock Bowers is actually the first tight end ranked at 20. So that'd be interesting to see when the tight ends start going off the board because he was a reception machine last year.
I think Bowers is the exception. He's a tight end by classification, but he gets targets and yards like a wide receiver. So I expect him to be out there. The other tight ends, I don't think it would go nearly as high because Bowers is clearly the best of the bunch of the tight ends. So I expect him to go fairly high. I don't think it would be a reach if someone goes third round on him because he just gets so much production. Yeah. And again, he has a better quarterback now, so you'd expect those numbers to, if not at the very least, stay the same and improve. He should not take a drop with having a better quarterback and potentially a running back that will make his life easier and the offense easier, plus a head coach that's way more competent as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just before we fully move on from fantasy, we said about 12 o'clock we'll start up, swimming, getting some hot dogs boiled up, and we'll set up a little bar. I hope you guys are over pretty early so that way we can make it like a full day hangout.
One other thing I want to add about the fantasy football draft, I don't know if we've ever posted the picture on the X or Facebook or the Instagram page, but our trophy is it's a bowl that has a little miniature figure of the Ultimate Warrior on it. Well, last night at this bourbon tasting party at Travis's house,
that we'll talk more about in a little bit.
In Travis's drunken
stupor,
he ended up purchasing another miniature Ultimate Warrior figure to put on the other side of the trophy.
He also made a bet with me and my team, with Sean and I.
Which, by the way, so we talk about that real quick. Since Todd lived up to his end of the bargain here when he lost the Southland Hitter of the Year wager with Patrick. Patrick said it was going to be a shot of his choice. Pat, would you like to tell us what you brought over for Todd?
Patrick made a good choice because it was god awful,
which is an understatement.
Yeah. Stefan was kind enough to give me a bottle of Malort.
Well, thank you, Stefan. We really appreciate that.
And I felt like it was a great choice to bring for Todd to pay up his end of the wager because I really couldn't think of anything that would cause him some sort of pain and be entertaining for me, and other than Malort. I don't know. I don't really have anything I could think of that would be terrible that I'd have to make for him to do, and I wasn't going to go really, really off the deep end with some really wild shit. So Malort just happened to be the one that worked, and I just happened to pick up a bottle of it that day. So, but man of his word, he took it. He did not enjoy it, which no one does.
The aftertaste just stays. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, not only does it taste like shit, the shit taste lingers with you for a good while.
So the new wager is that if Todd and I win this year, Patrick and Sean have to drink, is it 2 shots apiece?
Back-to-back shots, yes, 2 each.
And it'll be shots of Todd and I's picking, or vice versa. If Patrick and Sean win, Todd and I have to take 2 back-to-back shots.
But
and alcohol to be determined.
Yeah,
Travis makes the wager, but I get roped into it just because I'm on his team.
Yes.
Well, I think you can blame Sean for that because I think Sean was like, "Oh, I'll do it too." So then Patrick's like, "All right, let's bring Todd on board too. So let's make it a team thing."
Well, Sean took the damn Malort and was licking the inside of the shot glass. So
and he was bitching about it later too.
Just one last thing about fantasy, and I kind of want to bring Russell back into this. What is your expectation reasonably, you think, for your season coming up? Now, knowing that you have another guy to help you out, are you obviously you want to win the league, but do you feel like, hey, let me get in make the playoffs, finish top 5 or something? Where are you kind of setting your sights on what you want to do for the season?
I'm thinking I'm going to have a pretty decent shot considering since I finished second to last season, and I'm bringing in somebody that's won several leagues prior to this. He plays in a lot of leagues. This is going to be like his 5th league or something like that. I don't know. He plays a lot, and he's got a lot of exposure to it. So I'm thinking I'm going to finish pretty high up there. I'm not. Of course, I'll go for first place, but my expectation is not to win it overall. But if that happens,
And it's always hard to project because you're basing off of players staying healthy. You're doing on your end the strategy of picking the right players at the right time and this and that, so you can do the best you can with the draft. And if one of your players, your number one pick or your star player goes out, that can actually ruin your season if you're not up to the keeping up on like the waiver wire and making correct pickups and things like that. So I think having Brett on your team now will help you with, at the very least, the waiver wire, or maybe a trade if you get to that point, but like free agent pickups and things like that. You'll be better at that, which will help propel you. I mean, like you say, you can't really go anywhere but up from where you finished last season. So
I mean, there's still one spot below me from last season, so I could finish worse.
Yeah, but knowing some of the other teams and managers in our league, as long as you don't have an injury, you should not finish where you were last season.
And that's, I think, the biggest takeaway that I had last year was the factor of like luck, and just played so much more into it. Because I mean, like, not that we did things wrong. I mean, there was decisions that we probably made that we could have made better. But yeah, I mean, it was just kind of the luck of the draw by the end of it, especially with McCaffrey. I mean, that was pretty tragic for us. But
that's truly all it is. I mean, unless you decide to sit your star running back in an important game and he goes off like 2 or 3 touchdowns and sinks your team and your season, that can happen.
Well, I think 10 out of 10 teams would have made that mistake last year. Yeah. So yeah, and it's the crapshoot of it.
No.
Y'all wouldn't have taken McCaffrey?
No. Not. I was talking about
no. That wasn't McCaffrey. He was talking
about my situation.
Oh no! I was talking about Russell's situation.
Yeah. Like I said, just the bad luck. That was just a bad luck thing. Anybody in his position would have taken McCaffrey because he was a consensus number 1. So it just rolled that way. Your only other option were really Chase Jefferson or somebody like that. So
Were you talking about Bucky Urban?
No, it was not.
Okay. All right, so before we fully move on from the topic of sports, there's been a recent change with ESPN as far as it taking over NFL Net, and I think Patrick wanted to spend a little time talking about this.
It was more so I just found it interesting that ESPN has agreed to purchase or take over NFL Network and the RedZone, along with then later announcing in the day that they were partnering with WWE to do and host a lot of the pay-per-view or the big like SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania like that. And I'm very curious to see if this is going to start going maybe behind it's pay-per-view already, I think, right? Yeah. But now is it going to be on like ESPN Plus where you have to have ESPN Plus, and like how that's going to affect things? Because that's a huge change, and that's like I don't have ESPN Plus. I did at one point in time, but I just got rid of it because I didn't really need it. I think you guys have it.
We have it. Mm-hmm.
And it's just feel like more and more things that ESPN does is going behind that Plus paywall, which I understand from a money making standpoint, but I'm wondering how that is going to change viewership for people who could just go online and pay the $70 or whatever WrestleMania costs for the 2-day event, versus now you have to sign up for ESPN Plus. You can't just do it as a pay-per-view. Maybe they keep it where you can do pay the pay-per-view, or if you're an ESPN Plus subscriber, maybe the price is maybe a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
But there are some kind of catches with that, though, because I remember when I got ESPN Plus, I was like, oh, yeah, I can watch all the UFC pay-per-views with that. But they still only do, like, the preliminary fights on it. Then you still have to pay extra to get the actual pay-per-view.
It's called the UFC Fight Pass or something like that. So it's like you can watch
trick you.
Yeah, you can watch the prelims on ESPN Plus, but then you do have to pay extra. But like what you said, I think it might be a little bit cheaper if you have the ESPN Plus for the pay-per-view than you would have to pay without it.
You would hope so, because then if not, that's a lot of money you have to shell out if you want to watch. Like that could be upwards of $100 to $125 if you want to watch ESPN, to have ESPN Plus, and then also buy like the WrestleMania pay-per-view and stuff like that.
Yeah. That
also kind of ties into like what's going to happen with RedZone, which you already have to pay for anyway. Going to ESPN, is there going to be more content behind ESPN Plus now? And I know ESPN got granted 3 extra regular season games now because of this partnership. And what really kind of had me thinking, one of the old presidents of the Miami Marlins, David Sampson, he was on a podcast with John Skipper, who used to run ESPN and who also runs the Zone. Mm-hmm. And this is probably 2 years ago, he made a comment and said that I feel like you can book it. The Super Bowl will eventually be a pay-per-view event.
Good God.
And thing.
Hope not.
And yeah, so kind of like just whether it happens or not, I don't know. But he's made some other like sports business proclamations that have seemed to kind of come true. And this feels like a step towards this being a possible thing. What do you think about that? Like, how would that change? Would you buy the Super Bowl? Let's say if it were $30 to watch the Super Bowl like on pay-per-view instead.
I think so, because generally when we get together, it's normally with friends and whatnot. Like you have a group of at least 5 or 6 to where everybody can chip in $5 and it wouldn't be a lot. But if I didn't have that, like say if people were doing something else and said, oh well, we all have our separate groups of friends outside, so it'd be like if Russell was going to some of his old high school friends' house to watch it or whatnot, and say the matchup was the Falcons against the Patriots like it was, back in when the 28-3. I don't think I would want to pay for that if I'm not with a group of friends. Like I don't think I would pay for $30 to watch 2 teams I despise play each other.
I'm a little torn on the idea because in general I'm more of a fan of the game of football. Obviously, a bit of a Saints fan, sure, but I feel like I may want to tune in and watch the game regardless of the 2 teams. Just because, but it also is going to be price dependent. If it's $30, fine. I'll waste $30 on some random thing here and there. So it's not like it's so much a money thing. But if it's like say 40, like 50, something like that, that's a bit different. It would have to be 2 teams I was interested in seeing, right. or maybe a storyline that was really can't miss. I think like let's say the Eagles were going for a repeat or something like that. Maybe I want to tune in for that. But if it's like maybe the Commanders or the Cowboys versus the Chargers, I probably would pass on that unless we decide to split the whole thing as a group wherever like that. So.
Yeah, I'll put it in like these terms. I think outside of like the Saints Super Bowl in 2009, I think one of the ones I was more excited about in recent years was when the Bengals lost to the Rams, because I think most of us here probably really wanted to see the Bengals win that Super Bowl. So I was pretty excited to watch that one. But again, like a lot of them, like if it's like the Tom Brady Bucks against the Kansas City Chiefs, like I wasn't really that interested in that one. So
where did we watch that one at?
Oh, that was at Schmandrew Schmart's house. He who must not be named.
How many hearts out of 5 would you give the experience of watching that game with that crowd and group?
Ooh, 0.5.
Was there a food spread? How was the food spread?
Well, the food spread is always good in that environment.
Yeah,
top notch charcuterie.
A lot of candy.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it would be one of those things where it would depend on how high the price would be and what the matchup would be. But yeah, I think we all just kind of keep our fingers crossed on that it doesn't end up being something where you have to end up paying to watch the Super Bowl.
Because I mean, the Super Bowl is normally on Fox or NBC, like usually network television. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this works out where it stays like that. Because I know Fox has a contract for X number of years. And then maybe I think they can rebid on who gets to host and watch it for their years after that. So hopefully with ESPN taking over so much more of the NFL's properties like NFL Network and RedZone, that it doesn't somehow transition to the Super Bowl being an ESPN product and then eventually Bond Apparel. But it was just a very interesting thing that got brought up in this conversation I was listening to about this guy's proclamation that there's a chance that down the road you would see the Super Bowl behind a paywall or in a pay-per-view event like that.
All right, so we're moving on from sports, and we've already kind of alluded to this what we took place last night. It's been a little while since we did like a little bourbon or wine get together, so we decided to do that last night. It was more so just like bring your own alcohol and have some drinks, whatever your choice. And unfortunately, I mixed probably one too many alcohols and didn't have a pleasant morning this morning. So Who was that?
Malort.
I didn't even drink that though. So anyway, go around the table and tell y'all's experience from last night, and
I think we can safely say if you look around the table, if we were doing a segment called "What's Everybody Drinking Tonight," the answer is literally water and soft drinks.
Yep.
No one's got a beer or alcohol here. Nope. So the night kind of started with Russell and I were at a friend's going away party, so I brought a bunch of bottles of bourbon to that, and then we kind of transitioned to an impromptu like kind of bourbon hangout thing. So Russell and I came over here, met up with you guys. Biff was here as well, along with Mike, and then we just kind of started popping bottles,
Pounding bottles.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize how much bourbon Patrick was actually going to bring. Russell actually brought Russell had about 6. Patrick probably had about close to 10, something like that.
I think I had 11.
Yeah, it was 11.
So I was showed up at Stefan's house, and Stefan's a big bourbon guy as well. So I knew I was going to, for his going away, I knew I was going to bring a bunch of the nicer bottles that I had, plus some things that he hadn't tried. So we were going to just have a smorgasbord, I guess, per se. So then I just brought it all over here after that was done. And like normal, people started getting after it. And I think I tried to warn a few people, like, hey, that bottle you're drinking, you can pour as much as you want, but understand it's got a lot of proof to it. It's a lot of alcohol.
The one I poured that time, the blue bottle, they had a really cool design on it.
Yeah, that was 130
proof.
130 proof.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
The Evernorth blue.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then the gray Evernorth was 125, 126. So it was also strong. I think the weakest bottle I had was 100 proof. Well, 98 to 100. But everything else was like 115, 120, something like that. So I was kind of taking the temperature of the room and watching what people were grabbing to pour and just watching like, how's this going to go? And I kind of laid back a little bit and did smaller pours because Russell and I have been drinking since 3 o'clock, and just I was trying to manage my water intake to make sure that I didn't get too fucked up because I still had to drive home or whatever. But yeah.
Well, my night started with I was hosting, so before everybody got there, I started kind of cracking open. I went and bought them. We shout out this brewery all the time on our pod. This is Rally Cat Brewing out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Not my favorite beer that they have there. That is Windy Peppercorn for sure. But their Ambush Amber Ale is very good as well. So I picked up a 6-pack of that at Rouse's, and I started pounding those probably about 7 p.m. And I was thinking like, okay, I'm just going to probably drink beer tonight. And then, Patrick and Russell show up with a combined, almost 20 bottles of liquor. So I decided that I needed to sample some of that as well. Anyway, needless to say, I woke up today, didn't have a problem going to sleep. I think Todd has an opposite experience, but I fell asleep pretty quickly. But then when I woke up, the light coming into the house fucked with my head and fucked with my eyes, and it made me dizzy. And then as I was brushing my teeth, I ended up puking, this is by the first time probably since my bachelor party that I threw up due to alcohol. So that was a strange
While
experience.
you were brushing your teeth?
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe the gag reflex of
brushing his tongue.
Might have been the gag reflex of the toothbrush with the mixture of my head spinning. It didn't go well.
The image of that is wild. You're like,
well, I made it to the toilet. I didn't throw up in the sink like spring break with Mike and Jamie. So.
And I won't be a bad teammate and put Todd's business out there, but I think it was either Mike or you, Travis, that kept saying that that Todd was on like Pluto.
Yeah,
Todd was in out of space most of the night. So, and I know the fun thing is Todd's like, oh, I don't feel anything, and then a couple you look at him later and he's like glazed over at the counter.
He was definitely not shy about his pours, and I just kept looking at him like, it's gonna be a problem at some point.
At one point, because Todd also started with beer, so then and Todd's not a bourbon drinker. Todd is more of a
so I kind of went in with the same mindset that Travis had. Was I'm just going to drink beer because I don't drink bourbon often, and I find that it usually makes me angry and makes me the worst possible person I can be. So I was like, I'm just going to drink beer. So I brought 3 beers over. And I was really only planning to have 2. I always say that. I'm going to bring 3 just in case, but I'm going to plan on having 2. Well, I drank all 3 of those beers, and then you guys, these assholes, show up with all that bourbon, and everybody's drinking it. So I'm like, I don't want to be left out. So
Well, I'm watching Todd pour the one with the quote unquote cool bottle, and again, Todd's not a bourbon drinker, so I'm watching him pour, and he's pouring himself a nice little hefty shot. He topped it off with a little bit of Pepsi, but at the same time, it was just like, damn, dude, that's a lot of bourbon you're putting in that cup for somebody who doesn't drink bourbon. So yeah,
I was mixing, man. It was after having mixed drinks, it's all good.
A little splash,
Dilutes
a
it.
little splash of Pepsi on top.
Oh, by the way, for our listeners, Sean joined us. He's coming in for
Hey.
this segment. So
And Sean is drinking a beer, so he said "fuck y'all pussies" and broke open a salty golfer.
Well, believe it or not, I refused. Not that I didn't want to drink, but at the field, that people had ice chests and different things, and I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't like feeling bad, but I just said, I don't know. I didn't feel like drinking out at the field. I mean, figured I was going to drink my salty golfers when I came over here. So,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that looks delicious right now.
yeah, I enjoyed the one last night.
refreshing.
I enjoyed the one last night, and I mean, it's good now. It's nice and cold and refreshing.
Sean, how was your experience with the Malort? Because you didn't have to take a shot of it.
Yeah.
You just agreed to do it along with Todd and
be a good teammate.
Russell. Yeah, Russell did one as well.
I also felt bad. I didn't want him doing it by himself, so I did a half shot. But
I mean,
That's a bet, man.
I feel like it was an interesting experience. It's like I felt it in my chest and my like. It's like it hung, like it floated on top of my stomach for a while or whatever. But I mean, I am the guy that likes Jaeger shots and shit like that. So I'm like, how bad can it be? And
What you were feeling was probably a hole getting burned in your esophagus.
I mean, yeah. It's not something I would do, regularly, but I handled it. Let's call it that way.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, fun impromptu kind of hang to get together that just had a massive fuck ton of bourbon in bottles. Most of it went well. I think everyone enjoyed, for the most part, what they drank. I don't think there was anything really bad or anything like that. So I'm happy that you guys got to enjoy some things, whether you mix it or not. You got to sample some really good stuff that we don't find or get very often. So I always enjoy letting people experience new things as I try them anew myself. Because 2 of those bottles I had just gotten within the last probably 10 days. So they were brand new to me. I'd never tried them before. So it's always good to experiment. And I'll see how people who don't drink nearly as much or as often as I do, to see how they kind of enjoy it, take it in, and what they think of it.
definitely big shout out to Stefan too, because he donated a bottle to us, or to me, the Penelope Rio, which I know everybody likes. We've had it before, but that I'm pretty sure went first. It wasn't a full bottle, but we destroyed that.
It was gone. I should have put that one in the in my
It's
case.
Yeah, we brought it over and we were going to give it to Travis because he doesn't have one, and then I expected maybe Travis to pour one and then kind of put it on ice and chill for a while. And then every time I look up, it was just going back to it. I'm like, next thing you know, the bottle's empty. And then someone grabs my bottle out of the bag and goes, I'm like, that's fine. But I'm like, damn, we went through that half bottle already.
Well, actually, I didn't even drink any of it. Heather loves Penelope Rio, so she probably had herself 3 glasses of it. But then
She had a couple.
I saw some other people taking it. I did like the peach old fashioned. Russell brought that was a good one.
That was my favorite. I mean, I'm an old fashioned guy. I usually get old fashions at restaurants and stuff. So
That was
my vision I couldn't really see too well from Pluto, but that was also Penelope, right?
Correct.
That was the white bottle with the
Did you have that
peach
one?
color.
Do you remember if you held that?
didn't have that one.
with the spigot, or what we were trying to figure out, what do we call that?
The only one I remember was the cool bottle one.
I think that was Mike's favorite as well, the old fashioned bottle, but he also did enjoy the dark gray cool bottle, Evernorth. He wouldn't remember the name, but that's what it was, or how it was described to most people.
So I wasn't as much of a fan of that one, but y'all know I'm biased and partial to High West, and that the High West rye that y'all brought over was really nice. Patrick brought over was really good too.
We had the Boo Rye?
Yeah.
Boo Rye, yeah.
Did you bring your midwinters as well?
No, I don't think I busted that one out.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed the 2 that I had in addition to my beers. Well, actually, I did have 3 because I tried the one with the gray top too.
Yeah, next time we do that, or just next time we get together, I'll bring a bottle. It's called a Midwinter's Night's Dram. It's from High West as well.
Is that the one I tasted at New Year's?
Yes.
Yes, same bottle.
So I have 2 different variations of the same bottle. Russell has the newest one that they make. I have some of the old one where it's a little bit of a different sourced bottle, but same concept. So we can do a compare and contrast to the three of them back to back to back. But all in all, I think it was a good night. The moderation level was up and down for some people, but
Moderation? What are you talking about?
well, some people moderated, some people didn't.
Well, since we just got finished talking about the fantasy draft, those nights are also ones that I really look forward to. Like when Patrick brings over a bunch of wine and we do little wine tastings, or if he just brings over bourbon and we do bourbon tastings. And to me, it's yes, the drinking's fun and the relaxation that alcohol brings is good, but it's just more so just the camaraderie and just getting together with you guys and just being able to put everything else on the back burner and have a good time.
I think we've only done one wine tasting though.
Yeah,
we definitely
Overdue for another.
Yeah.
That was what? That was like the week after New Year's, wasn't it? Wasn't it like the weekend? It was like
early.
Close to Comic-Con or something like that?
Yeah, it was definitely after New Year's, but maybe early February or something like that. But he was definitely after New Year's, but not right after, I don't think.
Yeah, so we definitely need to do another one of those. The negative side of this is obviously the way you feel the next morning, like the way I felt. I don't know how all of you guys, can't speak for everybody. Again, I threw up this morning, so
I didn't really share, but yeah, I actually was disappointed. I wanted to try more. I could have kept going, but everybody was kind of leaving. I mean, I was a little distracted with my child wanting to go and not being able to get picked up and shit like that. I mean, I went home and actually poured some Bloody Mary in a can thing into my cup because I didn't want to stop. Well, I woke up this morning with it diluted next to me, so I drank about half before I passed out. So,
did anybody have a massive hangover like me? I'm sure.
I mean, I woke up feeling pretty sick this morning, so I woke up around 9, and I got up, ate breakfast, and I didn't even eat a full breakfast, just ate eggs and a yogurt, put the coffee on, but I was like, I'm thinking I'm going to go back to sleep. So I slept for another 2 hours and took some ibuprofen, and then fell asleep for another 2 hours, and woke up feeling better.
So true story. When I texted y'all about 9:30 this morning asking how everybody was feeling, when Todd didn't reply after about an hour and a half, I texted Grayson. I was like, "Can you please go check on your dad to make sure he's alive?" So she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Just do it." She's like, "Well, he's breathing. If that's what you want to know." So I was all right. I guess that's good enough.
yeah, I took it easy. I was just getting in sleep. It's not like I could have, Of course, I feel slightly bad. I was supposed to go to a Mass at St. Edward today, but I woke up somewhere 9-ish, and I'm like, yeah, Mass is for 10. I'm like, it's so much easier to just knock right back out, and I went back to sleep.
Yeah, we generally try to go to Mass most Sundays, but this was a no-go this morning. We slept at least till 9:30, and then after I sent y'all a text, I went back to bed for another hour, half an hour to an hour.
Yeah, I did a lot of sleeping today. I felt a little sluggish this morning, but I don't think I actually got up until 12 o'clock today.
Yeah, and I didn't have a hangover or anything. That I just kind of like Sean said, I was just extremely tired, so I slept all day on the couch until I had to go to kickball or whatever. So it didn't feel bad. I think I drank a good bit of water to kind of mix it in. I also, to Russell's dismay, I kept my pores kept getting smaller and smaller. And then at one point I would stop, and then Russell would look at me and was like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you drinking?" And I was like, I'm not going to let you bully me into pouring more.
There was people watching.
Yeah, just kind of keeping tabs on things. And then, so got home. I just didn't sleep a whole lot. So I tried to make up for that today, and I'm still kind of exhausted, especially after playing, even though it wasn't super hot today. So it's Coke Zero for me just to get me through tonight, and then it is crash time.
So because I slept so late today, I wasn't able to cut the grass this weekend, and that's extremely disappointing to me because now I'll have to wait till next weekend. The shit's going to be super high.
Are you going to be able to start your lawnmower?
I can always start my lawnmower, just 6 or 7 pulls. It's just some pussy-ass motherfuckers they can't start it.
Even after 40, huh? So I know
how did it not start at the 40 pulls?
I know. I shared this story with y'all last night, but when Todd was in South Carolina, I knew he was going to be gone for 8 days. So being the nice guy that I am, I go over to his house and cut his grass for him. And then I'm in his backyard and I'm fucking pulling on this thing, and I was like, dude,
he's going to town on it.
I was like, is there like some kind of special trick to fucking making this thing start? And then he's like, no, it just takes a while. You just gotta pull. I was like, dude, I just pulled 40 fucking times. Like, this thing's not starting.
Only Todd knows how to turn on his own devices. I'm just saying.
The thing's like 20 years old. It's time for a new one. It's
got a hole in it.
It's also like heavy as fuck. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's like I'm used to
Is it even self-propelled or
it was?
So
it doesn't work anymore.
I'm gonna pussy ass bitch from having anybody start this piece of shit that he admits doesn't work right.
I think the funny part about the story was when he started calling you the pussy ass bitch is when like you were like he made some comment about you dragging your lawnmower down the street because you couldn't get his started. So you went. He's like, yeah, I'm the pussy ass bitch because I went and got my lawnmower and drug it down 2 blocks from my house to your house to cut your grass while you're out of town.
He tried to cut the grass with my lawnmower this time because I said that's a very dad thing you would do to bring your lawnmower over to my house.
And when I cut grass, I put on my shittiest clothes too, like paint stained clothes, and I'm walking down the street. And it is something my dad would do. My dad would probably be like, "Oh, I'm just used to my own shit, so I'm just gonna bring my own shit," and he'll walk down the street in his bum clothes and cut
100%.
somebody else's grass. So it is reminiscent of my dad. But
Shades of Big Russ.
But I'm used to my own shit, and I like it. Mine starts fine, so you know.
Did I also hear that there was some sort of challenge issued for someone to try to start the lawnmower again in like 20 or 25 something tries? Is that what I heard?
I think there was, but
That might have been something that Mike's doing. Mike or someone was on a rant about.
Yeah, I think I told Mike if he could start Todd's lawnmower in less than 20 pulls, I'd do something. But I was drunk, so I don't really.
Shot him a lord.
Maybe it might have been that.
I'm down for that bet.
So yeah,
And then if I can't
like the Malort.
if I can't start it, I get to take the shot of Malort.
boy, just
Deal?
get
Win or lose, Sean's going to take the shot of Malort.
Is this going to be a
No, if I win, Travis will.
if Sean starts it, he takes a shot. If he doesn't, he still takes a shot.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, you could turn this into a team challenge at the draft pre-party about us trying to start.
Well, then,
think that'd be fun.
Well, then Russell and Brett gets pulled into that if it has to deal with Mike. So
Well, I'm saying, we could do it for all the teams.
Sure.
One rep for the team has to try to start it. Let's say in however many tries. And if you don't, well,
how about we run a clock, and whoever doesn't hit the 2-minute mark for their pick has to take a shot.
but I have a feeling this.
I like that.
I think this will all end when someone tries to pull it and it just snaps the pull rope and it's all over with.
Whoever breaks it has to pay buy for a new one.
Nah, I need a new one anyway, so.
I just buy the shitty $50 one, yard machines, and then it'll last a couple of years, and I know I have to buy another one.
It's a Honda, man, so I mean, these things are supposed to last a long time.
Yeah, well, it probably has. It's probably lasted about 20 years. It's time for another one. All right. Enough with last night's shenanigans, and I feel like more shenanigans are coming because Todd said he had a question that he wants to ask the group. So, then he has a dream he would like to explain to us.
We're doing this question before the dream, huh?
Or
All right, which one would you like to do
yeah.
first?
Well, I think this one will be quick. This one might be quicker. All right, so I've sent.
He can't even get it out.
Hey yo.
The question. Okay.
So obviously, the first time I ever saw the Mortal Kombat movie back in 1995, I was enamored with the knife that Kano had, and my friend Evan at the time had a magazine that actually sold that knife, and I never got it. And it's kind of been a regret of mine. And that things are like over $100 easily. But I guess where I'm going with this question is there are several pieces of weaponry that I've seen in movies that's like I wouldn't mind having that. So, like, for instance, like Boromir's sword in Lord of the Rings, and what's the other one I had in there? Oh, the dagger from Once Upon a Time, Rumpelstiltskin's dagger. They all have replicas of that. And I was like, that'd be pretty cool to own something like that. So I sent all these to Travis, and he's like, it just looks like a waste of money. So I'm trying to get you guys' opinion. Like, if I was to, like, get, like, a sword or some knives and hang them in here, like, would that be a good idea? Would that be cool?
Well, I mean, you're not using it on anybody or anything.
No, it's just
Hopefully not.
And I would think
So
your kids are old
it's
enough
literally
now.
a collectible.
I mean, it would simply just be
It'd be the
Display in
same like
here.
anything else that's hanging up right here. It's a little display piece.
Other than like holiday parties when you have like little kids that are potentially coming in here, like I think your kids are old enough to know not to screw with it.
Gotta
But
make sure you hang it high enough.
my big issue is like it's you just said it, like the knife is over $100 now. So it's like, all right, you're gonna pay $100 for a knife that you're never gonna use, and you're gonna prop it up on your wall. I mean, like I don't know.
I mean, is that any real different from if you bought a really expensive figure to hang
I was
on the
about
wall?
to say, isn't the same explanation of a lot of shit in this room? Like, why do you have that? Oh, it's badass. That's the reason.
Not quite though, because like I think Todd probably agrees with me on this. Like, you know, our man caves are like museums. I think that's you know, kind of a given. I think it's really cool to walk around here and look at the shit. But I'm also very thrifty. Like when I see shit on eBay, like I do the best deal at the top of the bar, and then like I'll watch it and then notice that if the price goes down, I was like, okay, that's when I got to jump on it. So like I've had this argument with my wife where she'll buy purses and shoes and spend easily hundreds of dollars on shit monthly, and then but the moment I buy something for like $10 or $15 on eBay, I get an eye roll, and I'm just kind of like, well, you just spent X amount of dollars on shoes and purses, and I buy a fucking $10 figurine and it's a problem, you know.
It's because it's functional to them, you know.
Yeah,
They're going to use this $100 purse.
I guess, but yeah, they change out purses so much. It's like you use it a couple times and then it's sitting on a shelf, much like this stuff. So.
I would say if it has an emotional pull to you and it's something that really excites you and things like that, I say go for it. Yes, if you have the discretionary income to use and disposable income to use on it, and it's you can justify it to yourself, do it. I mean, I have it's not the exact same, but like I have some bottles of bourbon that I don't need to buy, and I've spent an exorbitant amount of money on them. Granted, it's a consumable, and I'm getting quote unquote use out of it versus just hanging something on my wall. But it's a let's say it's a luxury item. I could just as easily spend $30 for a bottle of bourbon versus $130, and it works like that. So I would say I support you on this one. If you think it's cool and it triggers something in you, because there's some things that I probably would buy that don't make sense to anyone else, but it's like a feel good piece for me. Like if I walk into my office and I look at it and I like, on a smaller monetary scale, my Rocky, Drago, Apollo Creed action figures, Funkos. Those are when I walk into my office and I look at them. Maybe not every time I don't smile, but like I look at it and I'm like, this is cool. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's something I want to. I think about and I would kind of look at, and it just kind of does it for me. So if it's something like that for you, yeah, you may not want to pay whatever the price for it, but if it does it for you, then do it.
It's a shot of dopamine, and that adds to it. If you get a good deal and you feel like you got a good deal on it, it ups the the feeling. It's a double shot of like you're buying it for one, and then you get a good deal, and it's like
Yeah, I mean, if you bought something stupid like a fucking $100 like sling to just shoot pebbles, I'd say maybe not that. That would be a little bit more dumb.
Like House of David.
Yeah. Or like if you bought like a miniature like trebuchet just to have around, like, okay, that's a bit odd, but
That sounds awesome.
I mean, it does. But you know how that's going to end up just in this fucking group. We're going to use it. It's going to end up flinging shit into the neighbor's yard and causing problems. Get the sword or the dagger or whatever you want to buy. Hang it on the wall. Roll with it.
I 100% agree. And then on top of that, you can dress as your favorite Mortal Kombat character for a party and use it as a prop.
Yeah. We dressed as Kano and Sonya one year for Halloween. But see, I didn't have the cool knife at that time.
It would have been so much better if you did.
Imagine how much better that costume would have looked.
Instead, he had a pussy ass fake gun.
Like,
Here's what I'm going to say on this. Since we just have finished talking about bourbon nights and wine nights, so the next wine tasting night, we're going to get Todd annihilated drunk. I'm going to say, hey, Todd, remember that Kano knife? I think it would look really good in your man cave right about now.
I was going to say, yeah, or we should just fucking derail this thing and like get his phone open while he's drunk and then take it and just buy it.
Buy it now.
And then we'll all just Venmo him like $10 or $15 with no says like, I'm sorry. And he'd be like, what the hell is that for? Why do I have like $50 in my Venmo? What did you guys do? And like, bam, 2 days later, it shows up. It's like, surprise.
Kano knife.
Kano knife.
It's called like the Hibbit Raptor.
Or we can just do a GoFundMe and get it for you for your birthday.
Y'all already got a fantasy name, but y'all could be Kano knife.
Please support this poor school counselor who's looking to start an armory collection.
I 100% support that idea. If you phrase it as Todd needs an armory.
An armory collection.
All right, Todd. So while we're staying on the topic of, we just answered your question about whether or not you should start your own armory. You did tell us last night that you had a strange dream that you would like to discuss on today's episode.
All right, so this is like much following Travis's dream where my mom shit herself in the baseball game. I had this dream about 2 weeks ago, but it's kind of stuck with me. Normally dreams, even if they stand out, they stay with you for like a temporary period of time, and you're like, what was that dream I had the other night? This dream was just so odd that and I'm trying to like interpret it and like find meaning behind it, but it's just so goddamn weird. Like I really don't know what to make of it. So I'm trying to think who all was in it. Like I think, and me and Travis were definitely in it. I can't even remember if Heather and Jessica were with us or not, but we got tickets to go see a Bryan Adams show. So when we get to the venue looks like the inside of my shed in the backyard.
That's probably where he's playing nowadays.
My fucking lawnmower was probably sitting there and everything.
Bryan Adams can start it right up, too.
Did you have an armory in the shed?
No armory.
So were there seats or were they standing room
No,
only?
it was only standing. People were only standing. The stage was right there.
Is it because the seats were broken?
So Bryan Adams comes out on stage and he's like,
fits all the broken chairs.
he's like, we're going to be starting the show in a couple minutes. If y'all need to take a bathroom break, go use it now.
And everybody walks out in your yard and starts pissing.
So we go out. So I go to the bathroom. And it's bizarre, man. Like, and it looks like the carport of my grandpa's old house. And there's no toilets. And all the actual toilets are like garbage cans and like dog kennels and shit. And people are waiting.
Dog kennels?
And people are waiting in line, like pissing it. So I go piss in a dog kennel. Then I go back to the show, and nobody's in there. Nobody's in the shed but Bryan Adams, and he's naked.
Naked?
And he's got some girl with
He
him.
shed his clothes while everybody was pissing in the dog kennels.
He's got some younger blonde girl with him. She's naked too.
Dog
And I'm
kennels
like-
don't hold piss, by the way. They kind of leak out the sides.
So I'm like, where is everybody? And Bryan Adams is like, oh, your brother didn't tell you? And I was like, no, what did he even tell you? He's at the hospital with your mom. She broke her hip.
Jesus.
It's a very detailed dream.
Detailed isn't the word I would use to describe
So
this,
then-
although it is.
Did Bryan Adams break Marlena's hip?
It's very explicit.
So I'm starting to panic, and I got to get out of there to go see my mom in the hospital. And as I'm going, I wake up.
So we'll never know what happened to your mom
Well, we did just
or how she's doing.
come from a house, so we can confirm she's okay.
First and foremost, that's the best news.
So what do you guys make of this dream? I mean, from going to see Bryan Adams to Bryan Adams being naked to pissing in a dog kennel. I mean,
Did you hear Bryan Adams anytime recently on the radio? Or
Yeah, did the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves song come on the radio?
I think I did send like a screenshot of Travis saying like this is such an underrated song. I think it was tell me, I can't think of the name of the song. The one from Don Juan DeMarco.
To Really Love a Woman?
Yeah, To Really Love a Woman, yeah.
First question: Were you on Pluto, or were you of coherent mind and body?
No, I was coherent, man.
Not under the influence of anything.
Bryan Adams was on Pluto.
Bryan Adams was naked in my shed.
I think Todd's channeling some inner attraction to Bryan Adams.
I don't know, man. I don't.
Was the blonde girl hot at least?
Yeah. Like I said, she was a younger girl. But Bryan Adams was also younger looking. Like he wasn't old like he is now.
So he looked kind of like he did when he was in the Three Musketeers song video.
Yeah, sure.
When he's next to two older fucks and he looks great next to him.
obviously I'm not a therapist, and I'm not qualified.
Well, we are therapists,
And I'm sitting here trying.
I'm
sitting here trying to understand what this fucking dream meant.
I don't know if there's any explanation, Ty.
I just think you're fucking weird. You had a
Is
weird
there a
ass
chapter
dream.
for Bryan Adams in one of y'all's books?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Grandpa's carport because I passed. I think it was one day that maybe it was closer to the beginning of summer when Sunrise first opened, and we took we were going. Or no, it was the Uncle Sam Jam, and you know how that street always crowds up. Mm-hmm. So we decided to turn down Tina instead of turn on Judith to go to Mom's house in Park, and we passed it, and I was telling the kids like, oh, that's where my grandfather used to live, and we used to go watch Saints games over there and whatnot, and we used to have a really good time over there. We actually had a party under there when Todd and I got accepted to grad school, and my dad barbecued steaks and all that kind of stuff. And so it was pretty recent that I talked about that.
I pass it all the time.
So
Heading to Rosalie.
I mean, it was a nice size house. It was extremely outdated, but and they probably sold it for a good price to where it would have been probably something you could
Remember
fix up
y'all's
and make a
grad
nice
party barbecue and watching the Bucks Raiders Super Bowl over there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shit, 2002.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we'd always have like NFL draft parties over there. We do crawfish boils underneath that carport. It was. Mm-hmm. It would have been a great party house to keep up if it was everything was kind of remodeled on the inside.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there has been some sentimental stuff with that like that. And I recently passed, and I was like, man, we used to have some good times over here. And then obviously talking about Dad passing away, and then realizing that Mom's not getting any younger. Now I understand that part, like the aspect of Mom breaking her hip, she's not in the best shape and whatnot. But the Bryan Adams part's baffling.
Just a quick AI Google search. It's dreaming about somebody naked can symbolize vulnerability, but it can also symbolize, a deeper desire for a connection with that person. So, are you trying to tell us something? Or?
Tell me, have you ever really?
It could be with the blonde. I don't know.
Loved the one?
I was really hoping that Todd was going to say something along the lines of like it turned into a private show for an intimate one-on-one of Bryan Adams
That's what I thought
singing
it
and
was
serenading Todd while naked though.
And then he started playing the acoustic with his penis.
The slide whistle with his dick.
I started going after the blonde, and then Bryan Adams went behind me, and before you know it,
This has like a Family Guy kind of cartoon vibe to it.
Your brother didn't tell you? This is now a private event.
Just me and you, one-on-one.
And whoever this girl is.
Really naked.
Naked, really naked. Bryan Adams was naked, really naked.
Let's just chalk this up to you had a weird dream that none of us really wanted to delve any further into, and we'll just leave it at that.
Let's just say I'm proud of you for sharing this with us. Like, it takes some courage to really share something like this with us.
A little bit of courage, a little bit of stupidity.
Well, that was just a fucked up dream. I mean,
Who was in that? Who did he sing the Three Musketeers song with? Was it Eric Clapton and somebody
it
else?
was Rod Stewart and Sting.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's why he looked good.
The dog kennel in the trash cans for toilets is the thing that really that's number 2, but obviously behind Bryan Adams being naked. Number 2 is where the fuck does the dog kennel and how?
So let me put a little emphasis on this here. As far as like when we go in the pool in the backyard, a lot of the times we're drinking. We got to get out, and it's like we don't want to come in the house, cold and wet. So we just walk around the backyard and find a good place to piss right there.
Sure, that's totally normal.
But this was the bathroom. This was the bathroom that I was directed to, and a lot of people waiting at each trash can, dog kennel station.
It's the dog kennel for me. I don't understand.
So
were they indoors, or it was just sitting in the middle of the grass?
It was sitting under the cardboard.
So it's kind of like when you when you go into like a bar and then they have like the beer keg turned into a toilet. This was just dog kennels turned into toilets.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but there was no pipe. They were just sitting on the ground.
So it's kind of like a porta potty, but it was just.
I have so many gift ideas for you now to give you for your birthday or Christmas, and I think you're gonna like them.
Is a Bryan Adams T-shirt one of them?
I'm not gonna divulge my ideas, but let's just say I have some ideas.
right, it's now time to get into that segment of gear grinders. And if I have one, I don't know if anybody else does.
I don't. I didn't.
I was wondering if you wanted to hit
Well, I was going to. I didn't know if we were going to that next, or we just want to do the movie thing. We can come to Gear Grinders next.
Okay, we can do that. So we've recently gone to see a couple of movies. Todd and I went and saw one. I know Russ and Patrick went and saw another one. And we could also talk about some TV shows while we're on this topic. The movie that Todd and I went to see was Together with Dave Franco and Allison Brie. It's supposed to be a horror movie. There wasn't really anything very scary about it, in my opinion. They did.
Other than the company you saw it with.
Did Allison Brie get naked?
That can be scary at times. See.
Did Allison Brie get naked?
See, senor.
See.
Oh,
It was
all right.
like the second to last scene in the movie, but yeah. Outside of a couple of jump scares, there was really no horror to it. It was a very strange movie. We'll put it at that. To just kind of not divulge too much and give too much away, the idea of is they're on a kind of like they move away from their town because Allison Brie gets a job working at a school in another district, and Dave Franco is kind of like a poor musician, like trying to still live a childhood dream, so he doesn't really have any money, so he kind of like has to follow her and go live in this new town with her if he wants to stay with her. And then this town ends up being like, they have like an enchanted chapel that's underground, and they end up falling into it, and the water in this chapel is like causes people to become like super attached to each other, to where like if you go away from each other, you just start like almost like magnets connecting to each other. And then, at the end of the movie, they basically, this is the part that shows her boobs, is they come together and form one fucking person. And then the very last scene, her parents are coming to visit.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I don't know if any of y'all plan to go see it, so
I just want to hear about the boobs. So.
you can look up the images online, I'm sure. Yeah,
I think I shall.
Naked. Really naked.
They both got naked.
but
This review is sponsored by Proton VPN.
But the final...
Is this the right movie?
No, not that one.
I mean, look at that hedge.
But the final scene of the movie ends with her parents coming to visit her, and they open the door, and basically it's Dave Franco and Allison Brie morphed into one person.
So
then
you don't
that's
know
it.
if it's male or female. It just answers the door and it's like, hey.
And then credits roll.
Weird.
So I mean, it. I guess my take on it is like it was not a horror movie that they're kind of making it out to be. That wasn't scary at all, but it was watchable. It was one that you kept being interested to figure out the mystery of what was actually happening, and then it finally comes at the end of the movie where you figure it out. But so it kept you interested, but it's not one I'd probably watch again.
Yeah. How many hearts?
2, 1.5, 2 maybe.
I'll probably give it a little higher than that. Maybe 2.2, 2.3.
Was there anything about it that stood out to you?
Not necessarily. I mean, again, you're referring to it as a horror movie, and I think it is labeled as that. But I mean, it has Dave Franco in it, so there's a lot of like stuff that's kind of considered funny in the movie as well. So
Is there comic relief in it?
yeah. I mean, there's definitely some lines in it that make you laugh, but like Travis said, it wasn't boring. It kept you interested, so I kind of liked it for that aspect. But I mean, I thought the whole concept, of course, was really really kind of stupid.
It has a 7 out of 10 on IMDb and 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. To each his own. I wasn't a very big fan of it. I thought it was very strange, but just the concept of the movie and how they thought of it was kind of strange.
They probably dreamt it up somewhere, in a dream or something.
Well, the audience score is only 76 on Tomato Meter or whatever the hell. That usually means that the critics like weird shit and the audience is like, what the fuck was this?
It all started with one dream about Bryan Adams, and the movie was made.
On a more, I guess, you have any more on the movie? On the flip side, Russell and I, along with his buddies Brett and Corey and our buddy Chris, went to go see the new Naked Gun movie with Liam Neeson. And Russell, I think, will confirm this. We both had the reservation of, we hope this movie stays true to the feel and the type of genre and comedy that the previous 3 Naked Gun movies all held, where it's just ridiculous comedy, ridiculous situations, funny one-liners, and things like that. And was probably the most skeptical about how it was going to play out. I was hoping it wasn't going to be very serious at all, or that they would try to just do a different kind of take on it and not keep true to form. And I think they nailed it. They hit a home run with it.
They easily nailed it. We actually watched the first Naked Gun, I think the day before we went and saw the movie. And that was nice because they do reference a lot of stuff from the first one, and they'll have small little clips. But like the entire movie it just felt like it was still a part of that old style, parody type stuff. They did a really good job.
Yeah, it felt like a good continuation of maybe the last 2 or 3, where Liam Neeson is playing Frank Drebin Jr. Right. And I don't know the other character who was playing.
They were both the sons of the previous
chief,
which was nice because it wasn't like a. What's the word? They weren't redoing the movie. It was truly a continuation.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Like a sequel, technically.
Yeah. It's essentially like the 4th movie in the series.
And I would say there were good one-liners and laughs from pretty much every scene in the movie, start to finish. It didn't drag on. It actually felt like it went by kind of quick.
Yeah.
Like for an hour and 20-ish minutes.
It's a short movie.
Yeah, it felt like it flew by. But I think it was a hit. It was funny in all the right places. It was ridiculous. There was some stupid, unreasonable or unrealistic scenes that were just tied into the movie being funny. And it kept bringing back small little Easter eggs from the previous movies and the little clips and references and things like that. And I think it was very well done. I would give it 4.5 out of 5 hearts.
Yeah,
it was really, really good.
I was going to go 4.5 as well. My one complaint about the movie is the entire plot was just very, very similar to The Kingsman. Okay. Outside of that, which phenomenal movie. Love that movie. But
once again, 7 out of 10 on IMDb, 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a fun movie.
And I didn't realize the director is Akiva Schaffer. That's one of the Lonely Island, Andy Samberg. I didn't realize he directed it. I mean, they didn't cameo in it, did they?
I don't believe
Andy
so.
Samberg and the other guy.
I don't
remember.
You could have given me another 20 minutes of that movie, and if they were doing more plot or story development, but kept giving me funny scenes and comments and things like that, they could have made that movie an hour and 40 minutes, and I still would have been happy with it. Just because the pace of it was still so not upbeat, but it just kept going. It flowed. No scenes were really out of place or not really needed for everything that was going on. And I think it was within the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, it had one of the best lines I had ever heard. Liam Neeson was talking about Pamela Anderson's character in the movie, and the line is, quote, "She had a bottom that would make a toilet seat ask for the brown." And I think everyone in the group of 5 of us all kind of looked at each other and started laughing, looked at each other like, hey, remember that, write that down or whatever. That's fucking hilarious. It's just, it had that level of just weird lines and jokes and quirks to it like that.
Sounds like a quote that would be said on this podcast.
Yeah, I instantly thought podcast.
My first thought was Todd. I could see him using that line somehow, somewhere.
That's the title of the episode.
Maybe so. Although maybe I think something with Todd's dream should probably be in the title of this episode.
I would think so.
Bryan Adams was naked, really naked.
Something about pissing in dog kennels.
Bryan Adams and dog kennels is the name of it.
We can workshop that one.
Dog kennel outhouse or some shit.
I like that. Write that down.
These are sounding like fantasy names.
Yeah.
But no, I have seen the previews for The Naked Gun quite a few times, and it's definitely on my list of ones that I want to see. I've shared this. I would love to go to the movies with you guys more often. Our movie time, or even with my wife and kids. But a lot of the times I go to the movies, it's usually with somebody else. So.
But definitely go check it out in the theater, or if you end up waiting for it to come out on whatever streaming service like that. It's definitely think you'll enjoy it. It's an easy watch. It's funny. It holds you there, and it doesn't drag on to last forever. So
maybe they're intended on making it, like seeing if it was doing well. They're going to make a second and a third one, and
I don't feel like there's a storyline loose end that they couldn't make another one, or just make a whole nother story.
The first ones were different. It was the same characters, but it was a different storyline.
Yeah.
And 2.5 and 33 1/3.
I mean, as long as, and I think Liam Neeson was very, very good cast, a very good cast for the part, because when thinking of it as more of a serious action
Right.
movie kind of star.
That was my first reaction.
Yeah.
Like, wait, that's serious? I saw like a poster for it. I was like, wait, this is really happening.
And like he said in some interviews prior that he wanted to do some comedy stuff and show some bit of range and just get out of that role that he's been typecast in for so long. And so, yeah, I was also a little worried, like, how's he going to do in performance role? Because he's not really thought of as a comedic person.
Right.
But whoever wrote his lines for him, they did a great job with making him.
Has he ever been in like a comedic role?
I don't think so.
I mean,
Not
I
that
just
I
think
think
of Taken and all the serious shit. I will find you and I will kill you and all
Yeah.
that kind of shit.
And yeah, but he definitely crushed it in terms of like being a good version of Frank Drebin Jr. and playing that part and doing just like Leslie Nielsen did. So I guess we'll get to this segment now.
And now it's time for another segment of What Grinds Todd's Gears.
All right, so I'm going to start off with the gear grinders, and if anybody else has any that they would like to add to follow up. But this is one of the things that we talk about our gym a lot, and that being a center of gear grinders, and then we talk about a lot of time driving being part of it. This kind of involves both a little bit. So I'm pulling into the gym parking lot the other day, and like if you're walking
The other day.
which by the way we didn't talk about shows, but anyway, but how if you're driving through a parking lot and there's parking on both sides, it's kind of like a narrow lane. Like you have people parking on one side, people parking on the other side, and it's just kind of like a narrow lane that you're driving up in the front of my gym. If y'all been to the YMCA, y'all would know what I'm talking about. But so I pull in, I'm going to look for a parking spot somewhere in the front, and there's this guy walking out of the gym, and he is walking right smack in the middle of the street, and he knows I'm behind him. So I'm just kind of like riding slow, just like waiting for him to either get to the side, go find his car or whatever, and he's just taking his time walking right smack in the middle of the fucking street. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude, can you have some common decency that I'm behind you? Can you move over to the left, over to the right, so that way it doesn't look like I'm about to fucking hit you, because I'm getting to the point where I'm about to, because now I just think you're being a dick,
Should have honked the horn, scared the shit out of him.
And he was borderline blue hair, so I mean, like maybe that's to be expected.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I was thinking, like, is this guy just doing this to be inconsiderate? Does he think because he's older than me, I need to respect my elders, or what the deal was? Like, to me, it's just common decency. If you know somebody's trying to find a parking spot, stop taking your time in the middle of the goddamn street.
I mean, who walks in the middle of the street anyway? Fucking idiot.
Tying into what you're talking about, and I'm going to try to keep vague when I say this because I don't want to be a complete asshole. I see a very specific demographic of people that tend to do this, and it's super, super annoying. Like they just either don't have any common sense, or they just don't give a shit about anything other than their own little world, and it's extremely frustrating. So I don't see it very often, because the times I have to go to Walmart for just something random, or be at work related or whatever, I see it happen at Walmart a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much the demographic of what I'm talking about, but the same kind of people that drive Altimas and Maximas are the same kind of people that I see do this a lot. And they love to stand in the middle of the road or park their car in the middle of the street to talk to someone that they know, and they're just blocking. They don't give a shit about who's behind them, because they just want to stop and talk to their homie or whatever. So I totally know what you're talking about. And I feel it does bother the shit up. It's not my number one gear grinder of parking lot related activities or things, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah, and it's not something that happens open. I mean, often. I feel like, well, one, I pride myself on trying to be polite. Like I hold the door open for people. If somebody's standing on a crosswalk and I'm driving, I'll stop and let them cross. Even let a lot of people in. As far as like if it's traffic, I'm not one who just nope, not letting you in. I usually will give in and let people in. So this just kind of took me in a spot to say, like, hey, if I was in the same situation, I noticed somebody's behind me, I would have the common decency, even if I had a far walk, to just move over to the right or move over to the left and let you pass. But yeah, I don't know. It just definitely rubbed me the wrong way.
I was always taught that people are assholes and can like run up your back. So like I was always taught to stay to one side.
Yeah, yeah.
Because who's to say some asshole's not in a hurry and not looking and they run up the back of you?
And especially now with people looking at their phones, I mean, you could easily, I could easily ran into this guy. And at the certain point, I was like, maybe I should just run into this guy. Since he's
Give him a
obviously
little
just doing
bump.
it to be a fucking dick at this point.
The
Have you seen the
only
guy before? I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Have you seen this guy in the gym before?
He didn't ring a bell. Like definitely wasn't a regular, or maybe wasn't even, maybe he was doing a class and not in the weight room. So I didn't really recognize him that well.
The only counter I could make to why you would walk in the middle of the parking lot, and Sean kind of tied into this a little bit, but like people on their phones. How often do you see people that just randomly just start pulling out of bike parking spots? So if you're walking closer to the cars, it's probably easier for you to just get backed into by someone parking out because they're either not paying attention or they're in a hurry or whatever like that. So that would be the only mindset that I could think of where walking in the middle of the road would be, I guess, more okay. But then you should also still be checking what's behind you because, again, you don't want to get run over.
Yeah.
But, hey, I also don't want to get backed into by some jackass coming out of their parking spot who can't see or drive.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very common for people to be leaving the gym too and still have headphones in. I didn't pay attention if he had any earbuds in or anything like that. I just took it as like, God, this guy's got to know I'm behind him. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
I do notice, like, say if you're like staying close to the line of cars, I can say that if it seems like, or you see somebody getting in their car, kind of veer out a little bit more towards the middle because you're like, okay, I know that person's about to back up, and I don't want to be right there in the middle of their car when they decide to, hit the gas and not see you.
I don't have a gear grinder, but to piggyback kind of what you're talking about, Travis, mine would be, from a parking lot standpoint, the people that they think their car is the most precious thing in the world and they want to take up two spots so that someone parks next to them. Like, if you're that worried about your car getting dinged, either park further away or don't take your precious car to wherever you're parking. Figure it out. Like, you're not above anyone just because you drive a $100,000 like BMW or you have a Corvette or this or that, or even like I saw one guy do it and he drove like a fairly like Tahoe. It's nothing special. I get it. I get it. You don't want to get your car dinged, but also you don't need to take up two parking spots to do that. Even when this happened at Lowe's recently for the most time I remember it. Some dude in a Tahoe just took up two spots like in the middle of the parking lane just cause. I'm like, either park further away or don't park here at all. It's so stupid. It's like my car is so precious and I'm so different from everyone else that I'm gonna take up two spots because I'm an asshole.
Look, I see that also often at the gym and they have no excuse because, one thing that I've always vented about them, the gym we go to having all this extra land that they could have built on and included like a sauna or something in there, but they have expanded that parking lot to where like now they've knocked down or cut out certain areas of grass and the parking lot is pretty extensive now, but when you go into the front. You see people hogging two spots, and it's probably for that reason, just being an asshole, saying like, "Oh, well, I'm going to take up two because there's plenty of spots for other people to park, so I'm just going to take up two so I don't get my car hit or something like that." It's very common over there.
I always greatly appreciate the people that have like the much smaller cars or like a motorcycle, and they'll purposely park next to those, and they'll like shove themselves in to make it hard to like get into the other person's vehicle.
I'm that guy sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, like if I can, I'm probably doing that, but I know I'm an asshole, so.
Yes, you are.
Does anybody else have anything to add on gear grinders? Anybody else have anything that's pissed them off recently?
Well, for me, it's been a while since I've missed some pods, and I never shared this with y'all from Miami. That if any of y'all are familiar with South Beach Tow, the show, it was it was like a reality show on A&E for 4 seasons. Well, that doing my history. That show was created because the producer of the show fell victim to towing in Miami Beach. And, it's a ruthless nonsense of a, scam, whatever. Because on our trip to Miami, went on a cruise first, but then we got a rental car and went to Miami Beach for a couple of days. And every hotel, it's on a strip, so every hotel's got, you got to pay all day for valet. Thinking like, it's like $65 for valet, and it's like we don't need that, and just self-park. The closest parking lot's like a block and a half away. It's a public parking lot. Well, parking this, and it's one of those you scan the QR code and you pay for a day, whatever the hell. And the next day, the parking, I was actually doing a draft for our cabbage ball league, and I'm in the lobby and I'm realizing, oh shit, the parking's going to expire. I don't know what the license plate is to go renew it on the app or whatever that, or it had lapsed or whatever. And it's like it needed the information again, whatever. So finally, when that's over, I get the key fob up in the room, renew the parking. So it's maybe like 2 hours went by without having paid parking. We go back the next day to leave the hotel, maybe drive around a little bit before we go to the airport, and the thing was towed.
Wow.
And yeah, and then you find out that it was from National Car Rental that you have to pay them a fee for them to go get the car because of course it's their vehicle and we're about to leave. We have to be on a flight in a few hours, and so you pay them $124 just for National to go get it. But then the car rental, the car towing company can pay. You have to pay through National for the tow. And I was like, I couldn't believe it that the price for the towing company was charging to tow this rental vehicle. And I looked up the place; it's like 3.5 miles down the road, $650.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
So between that and National and even the price to rent a car, this rental car cost us about $1,000 for 2 days.
Jeez.
And yeah, you look up Tremont Towing, and I forget what the other one's called, but it's basically 2 towing companies in Miami Beach, and they have like almost like 5-star reviews. People are just ranting and raving about them, even locals. But they say they prey on tourists mainly.
Oh yeah.
They see this because the car had a North Carolina license plate, and they saw that, and it's like they were probably like waiting. It's like let's see whose parking's about to lapse, and no ticket, no nothing. They tow the shit.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And yeah, and to this day, I still need a call because I wanted to get some kind of invoice or something to tell them like, when did y'all tow this? To say that I didn't have parking paid for like 2 hours. It's like they sniped it probably like a half an hour after my parking ran out.
Yeah.
And you hear the stories I was reading online and stuff like that. It's just like they're ruthless. It's like they said there was like trucks even like they park and like around like the side of strip malls, and they wait to like, oh, somebody came and parked after hours, and a guy said he went into a restaurant, came back an hour and a half later, and his car was gone. And it's like, yeah, you watch the show. Of course, it's fabricated. It's Hollywoodized, whatever. Like reenactments or whatever. But it's basically it. It's like they show like some Redskins fans come in town to play the Dolphins, and they start towing some car, and they all come out with big old like Indian headdresses on and start fighting with the guys and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it sounds like this kind of shit really goes on.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And it's like, yeah. And then just this is going back like 10 years. I found like articles as old as like 2013, 2015, people complaining about towing in South Beach, Miami. And it was like, wow, okay.
All sounds like a money making scam.
I found one where it said the towing companies have even donated to like different campaigns and shit like that. And it's like, oh, it's all a money grabbing. It's like even one guy was saying he parked his handicapped vehicle across his driveway to make it easier for him to bring like something into his house or something as a disabled person. And he came out of his house within so many minutes, and the van was towed.
Jesus.
It's like you pull up in front of your house. Where are these people hiding in the bushes to tow a car that quick?
It's very predatory.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I felt. Yeah, it was just like I couldn't believe it. We were sitting in the hotel lobby going, I guess we need to get an Uber to the airport.
Well, the one story that I can have that relates to that is that one time we were at the Bulldog, and then Bulldog on Canal, and then they had cars parked all in the bus lane, and both Todd and I drove, and we both parked on the side in the bus lane. Now, keep in mind, the bus was not running at midnight or 1 a.m. or whatever it was. So, but it was just an excuse for them to make money for the city or whatnot. So they come with all of a sudden like 6-7 tow trucks are on the street, and they're putting everybody's cars on tow trucks. And go figure, both Todd and I's cars got towed that night. And again, we were probably each out, at least $120 or something like that to get it out. So, and you're right, it's very predatory. It's one of those things where it's like okay, well, we've been seeing people park here, and we're going to say it's a functioning bus lane, even though we know it's not running right now. And then they towed probably 10 cars just right out of that lane, just to make a quick buck, I guess, for the city.
Yeah, so it was weird at the time, and like the flight home was a little, sour taste in your mouth. But yeah, it's it's amazing to think that I spent $1,000 on a rental car, but just it's one of those live and learn, and like I don't know, what are you supposed to do? Because they'll fight you and say we didn't do anything wrong.
Yep. And I know that's been one of our big grievances about talking about trips on this podcast. Is just the idea of how many places you have to pay to park and whatnot, and then you run the issue of possibly getting towed. It's just extra money that you weren't accounting for on that trip.
Well, we didn't get towed in St. Louis, but we did get the parking ticket.
That ticket, it was like $40.
You want to talk about predatory and people coming out of the bushes. I mean, what did we miss it by, like a couple minutes?
Couple minutes,
Slapped with a ticket.
And the worst part is it's a rental, so it's through National, and people that you talk to, they'd be like, "Oh, that's crazy high for a tow," but they don't give a shit. They're not going to do anything about it.
Right.
They want their vehicle back. So, like some lady I talked to, said, "Oh, even if it's a Class A tow for an oversized vehicle, it should only be like $377.50 or something." It's like maybe they charged you for because of course it happened on a Saturday, so then the National couldn't get the car back until Monday, so they maybe charge another day or some shit. They're going to find some loopholes to charge you out the ass for these tows. Yeah, and it's funny to find out that the guy who created the show was a victim of this and said, "Oh, I can turn this into something," and it lasted for like 4 seasons on A&E.
Yeah, go figure. That's how many people are catching.
And of course, the show makes the towing companies look like victims. Like they go and like pick up a car, and these guys jump out and start shooting paintballs at the tow truck, and they're like, "Man, I'm just trying to do my job," and it's like y'all are fucking assholes,
Yeah. Well, that's an unfortunate way to end your trip, because I'm sure you had otherwise had a really fun time on it, and then to have to end with an extra $1,000 bill is not what you were gunning for.
Yeah, typical vacation.
Yeah.
On that high price bombshell,
Wagons out.
Wagons out.